Welcome to the fourth video of the reconciliation training. This one is called Steps 2, Credit Card Transactions, and 3, Credit Card Expenses of the reconciliation process. Now I want to show you a quick overview of how we get to Step 2. So to start, let's go to Oracle. Now when you get to the Oracle login page, log in. Remember, we go to MBI Internet Expenses and Expenses Home, and then we click Create Expense Report. And now we are on step 1 of the reconciliation process. Remember, I said that the only thing you would need to change in rare cases is the alternate approver, and for this case we don't need to change that. So we can press the next button. And now we are on step 2 of the reconciliation process. You may notice at the top that you can see all of the steps in the reconciliation process. Like I said, we are on step 2 of 6 of that process. For the most part, many of us will only need to enter information on 3 steps, unless you have to change allocations, reconcile cash expenses, or use an alternate approver. So this would be one of those steps. The expense reporting process is very straightforward. As you can see, on step 2, there is a list of all of the transactions needed to be reconciled in the expense report. These are transactions I made a couple of weeks ago for an employee within our department who was asking for a couple of pens and notepads for her office. So I used my Moody credit card to purchase these items from Office Depot. If I don't click on any of these transactions and hit next, I will be directed to step 4 of the expense reporting process. We completely skipped over the credit card expenses because Oracle is assuming that you do not want to reconcile any of the transactions and instead want to enter a cash expense since you didn't choose a credit card expense. So why don't we go back to step 2. I now need to make a decision about which transaction or transactions I want to add to this expense report. If I want to add them all, I can just select all. If I want to deselect them all, I can select none. For the purpose of this training video, I will select both transactions and hit the next button. Now we are on step 3 of the reporting process. There are at least 2 things I am always going to do on step 3. These 2 things are most important in the expense reporting process. The first one is to provide an expense type - account number, and the second is to provide a justification for the purchase. So these 2 items here that are fillable items. The expense type you choose is the account number. So your supervisor or the person that you bought the item for should give you that number, or you can ask them. In this case, the expense type that I have been directed to is 93265. So we can scroll down all the way to 93265 and you can see office expense supplies. 93265. Both of them. So don't get overwhelmed. Don't worry. The reality is that many of us only will use 3 to 4 expense types. The expense type is the line item in the budget where these expenses are being allocated. Once I have selected the expense type, I move to the justification field, which is a free text field. The free text field has limited characters, but it does have a lot of space. In this box, I need to provide a detailed description and business purpose for this transaction. So, as per policy, I need to put down expense detailed description of the product or service I purchased, and the reason I bought it, what business purpose it will be used for and why. If it is travel related, I also need to include the names of all people related to the purchase. So, in this case, I will put pens and notepads purchased for Brenda Crump's office. Since I am telling you what I purchased and what I purchased it for, the business purpose would be for Brenda Crump's office. And hopefully that's self-explanatory, as those will be items she can use in her office. So I will go ahead and copy and paste this and do it for the same one. This order should have been one order, but it was split up into two expenses. So you won't always have the same justification for all these expenses. And please make sure that they are all separate if they are separate transactions. But for this occurrence, they were together and should have been in one transaction. The last item I will mention is about this little box in the far right column. We will not go into detail at this time because there is another tutorial going into more depth on this. Essentially, this details button would allow you to split a single transaction among many allocated cost centers and/or expense types. And that will lead us into the next tutorial on step 4 and 5 in the expense reporting process.